If you've bought a new streaming device in the US recently, whether it's a Roku, Fire TV Stick, Chromecast, or one of the newer Android TV boxes, you may have noticed something different in the spec sheet. More models are now advertising upgraded antennas, dual-band Wi-Fi, or enhanced reception features. For years, most streaming gadgets treated the antenna as an afterthought. Now it's suddenly becoming a headline feature, and the question is, why? What changed? Why are streaming devices in 2026 shifting towards stronger, dual-band antenna designs? To understand this shift, you have to start with the reality of today's home networks. American homes are more crowded with wireless devices than ever before. Smart TVs, tablets, laptops, cameras, thermostats, doorbells, light bulbs, everything is fighting for the same wireless space. 15 years ago, a streaming stick needed to handle Netflix on one screen. Today, that same device has to deliver 4K video while competing with dozens of other gadgets pulling bandwidth at the exact same time. This congestion has exposed a major weakness in older streaming sticks and boxes: small antennas with minimal range. Most early models were built around budget components that performed well enough for compressed HD streaming. But with US consumers now expecting flawless 4K, smooth live TV, and lag-free sports streams, that level of performance simply isn't adequate. Manufacturers had to respond, and the first step is better antennas, especially dual-band antennas that can intelligently switch between frequencies. The backbone of this upgrade is the difference between 2.4 GHz and 5 GHz Wi-Fi. For years, streaming devices primarily relied on 2.4 GHz signals because they traveled farther and penetrated walls better. But 2.4 GHz has become extremely crowded in American households. Everything runs on it: baby monitors, Bluetooth gadgets, smart home sensors, and older routers that never upgraded their technology. The result is slower speeds and higher interference. So streaming devices started expanding into 5 GHz, which is faster and less congested. But there's a trade-off. 5 GHz doesn't travel as far through walls. Many streaming devices struggled to maintain a steady 5 GHz connection unless the router was nearby. This is where dual-band antennas come in. Instead of relying on one frequency, new antennas are designed to detect signal conditions and switch between bands instantly. If the 5 GHz signal weakens, the device moves to 2.4 GHz without interrupting the stream. If interference is detected, the antenna jumps back to cleaner bandwidth. This automatic switching is more than a convenience. It directly affects streaming stability. American viewers expect smooth playback, whether they're watching a movie in the living room, a live game in the bedroom, or a tutorial in the garage. Dual-band antennas make that possible by creating a dynamic signal environment where the device adapts in real time instead of locking into a single band and hoping for the best. Another major reason for this change is the explosion of Wi-Fi 6 and Wi-Fi 6E routers across the US. These newer routers handle more devices, manage congestion better, and deliver higher speeds. But older streaming sticks with cheap antennas could barely take advantage of these improvements. Consumers were upgrading their routers, but their streaming boxes weren't built to keep up. Manufacturers realized that if they wanted customers to feel the benefit of faster home Wi-Fi, they needed better radio hardware inside the streaming device itself. This leads to the next point. 4K and 8K streaming have become standard expectations. Even budget smart TVs now support 4K. Apps like YouTube, Hulu, and Disney Plus deliver higher bit rates. Sports streaming in particular has become one of the most demanding tasks for a home network. Live 4K sports requires sustained bandwidth without drops, without buffering, and without sudden pixelation. Older antennas simply couldn't deliver that level of reliability in real-world homes, filled with interference, walls, and competing devices. Stronger dual-band antennas give streaming devices the steady signal they need to maintain consistent high bitrate video. There's also a more practical factor at play. The physical design of streaming devices has changed. Early streaming sticks were tiny, plastic shells, tucked behind the TV. Their antennas were often small strips glued inside the housing. They worked, but only in ideal conditions. Today, streaming devices are being redesigned with more internal space dedicated to radio components. Some manufacturers are even adopting multi-antenna layouts, similar to smartphones, where one antenna focuses on long-range performance while another prioritizes high-speed throughput. And as more Americans mount their TVs on walls or inside entertainment centers, signal challenges have increased. A streaming stick sitting 2 inches behind a large metal-backed TV is basically wrapped inside a shield. Dual-band antennas improve the chances of getting a strong connection even in these difficult placements. This is also why some manufacturers are moving toward external dongles or cables that reposition the Wi-Fi antenna away from interference-heavy areas behind the television. Another element driving this change is the rising popularity of mesh Wi-Fi systems in US households. Mesh networks distribute access points around the home rather than relying on a single router. Dual-band streaming antennas communicate more efficiently with mesh nodes, automatically picking the best path and reducing congestion. Without dual-band capabilities, many older streaming devices struggle to stay connected to mesh setups, leading to frustrating buffer cycles. But there's something else happening too. Streaming services themselves are evolving. Apps are launching interactive features, live chat elements, synchronized watching, and real-time data overlays. These new features require not just speed, but low latency and stable connectivity. A premium antenna design helps ensure consistent performance as these more interactive formats become mainstream. Finally, American consumers are becoming more aware of network performance. People know what buffering looks like. They know what a weak signal feels like. And with more competition among streaming device brands, manufacturers can't afford to deliver a mediocre Wi-Fi experience. When customers upgrade their home networks, they expect their devices to match that upgrade. So today's streaming devices are being built with a different philosophy. Instead of simply decoding video and running apps, they are engineered as high-performance wireless receivers. Dual-band antennas, improved radio sensitivity, enhanced shielding, larger antenna traces, and smarter switching systems are becoming standard features in 2026 models. This isn't just a technological update, it's a direct response to how Americans use their devices. More devices in the home, more bandwidth demand, more complex Wi-Fi environments, and higher expectations for video quality have pushed the industry to rethink antenna engineering. And the result is a new generation of streaming hardware that promises stronger reception, fewer dropped connections, and a smoother streaming experience across every room in the house. The dual-band upgrade isn't a small behind-the-scenes change. It's one of the biggest steps forward in streaming hardware in years. And as more homes adopt faster Wi-Fi technologies, this new antenna era is going to define what streaming reliability looks like in the US moving forward.